Good evening and welcome to tonight's Neighborhood Services District 5 Community Meeting. My name is Jason Perez and I am the Neighborhood Services Coordinator for District 5. Neighborhood Services serves as a single point of contact for residents in need of assistance. If you have any questions, ideas, or concerns about your neighborhoods, we can help. Neighborhood Services facilitates a citywide effort to improve the livability of Anaheim neighborhoods by helping to create partnerships between city and other community-wide resources. District community meetings are part of the Anaheim Neighborhood Improvement Program to improve neighborhoods through a coordinated interdepartment approach. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. My name is Jason Perez, Neighborhood Services Coordinator at 714-765-4398. There are many resources and flyers in the back of the room for you to take home. Please take a few of them and share with your neighbors. Please note that the City of Anaheim, in partnership with other community-based organizations, will be hosting the Anaheim Health Fair on November 6th and 7th at the Anaheim Convention Center. The event will provide residents with a variety of health services. Flyers are available on the resource table in the back. If you have not done so already, please make sure to provide your contact information on our sign-in sheets so we can keep you posted on city updates. For those of you that came in from the rear, please do not forget to sign in so you can be a part of our newsletters and also draw a ticket for tonight's opportunity prize drawing for a prize courtesy of Anaheim Public Utilities. Let's begin our meeting by inviting city staff to the front of the room to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Mark Lillimon from the Community Policing Team.
Good evening, Sandy Lozo, Code Enforcement and Homeless.
Hi, good evening. I'm Nick Taylor with the Planning Department.
Good evening, Carlos Urquiza with Neighborhood Services.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Hall, the Assistant City Clerk.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sean Boudanian with Anaheim Public Utilities.
Hello, I'm Dave Morey with Public Works.
Hi everyone, I'm Anaheim Sporn, Community Services Manager, and also wanted to introduce Nam Bartash and Joel Saldivar. They're here with Mayor Pro Tem Steve Fessel's office, and they'll be here for the duration of the meeting in case anybody has any other questions or concerns for the Mayor Pro Tem as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you, city staff. I would also like to take this opportunity to recognize Police Review Board member for District 5, Daisy Chavez. Okay, Daisy is occupied otherwise. We will move forward with some additional information about the Anaheim Police Review Board, which is a way for residents to have a voice in how our police department serves the city. It has 7 members who represent all of our council districts and all who care about their neighborhoods. Throughout the year, the board receives input from the public, an outside auditor, and police department leadership to make recommendations to the city manager about improving police department practices in various ways. We invite everyone to attend the next meeting of the Police Review Board on Thursday, October the 28th at 6:00 p.m. There are flyers in the back with more information if you're interested. If you have any questions about the Police Review Board, please feel free to contact Daisy Chavez at the end of the meeting, or we'll provide some additional contact information for follow-up after the meeting as well. But before we move on to our agenda, I just want to go ahead and provide a housekeeping item for our presenters. Presenters, just an FYI, we are recording the meeting, so it is best to repeat any questions that are posed to you through your portion of the meeting so that we can get clarity in the recording later on. Thank you very much. Now, we're going to move forward with our agenda. Here to provide some information with regards to crime trends and crime prevention is Sergeant Mark Lillimon from the Central Community Policing Team.
Thank you. Thanks for all coming out tonight. It's nice to see a nice crowd of people here. I'm sure everybody's glad to be out, right, and see each other in person. I'm going to talk to you about a couple things tonight. Some crime stats, crime trends, and a couple events that are going on. When you look at crime stats, they're divided into 2 categories. They're typically divided up between crimes against people and crimes against property. And this year, our crimes against people are up by 4.42%. Specifically, homicides and aggravated assaults are up. Rapes and robberies, which are also crimes against people, are down. The crimes against property are overall down by 6.94%. And those are your thefts, your auto burglaries, residential burglaries, and stuff like that. A couple of the recent crime trends that we're seeing, number one is the catalytic converters. I'm sure a lot of you have seen that online in different places. We talked about it in the last meeting, council district meeting that we did online. And in the back of the room on the table, you'll find a little card that looks like this. It has some crime prevention tips on how to prevent from becoming a victim of a catalytic converter theft. And also back there is another flyer about auto burglaries, how to prevent from becoming a victim of an auto burglary. Most important thing is don't leave valuables in your car. Another trend that we've seen recently are distraction burglaries. And this is where someone would come to your door, maybe they're wearing a vest or some sort of shirt that identifies them as somebody who looks official, maybe carrying a clipboard, and they try to distract you at your front door while somebody goes around the side or the back of your house and steals jewelry. They primarily target the elderly population. There was a crew in Anaheim that was doing this, and they were recently arrested. But it's something to always be aware of because there could be other crews doing the same thing. And if you have elderly neighbors, just look out for them and try to be aware of who's in your neighborhood and keep an extra set of eyes on them. And if somebody comes to your door and represents themselves as somebody from a utility or trying to sell you something, just be very aware that they might have ulterior motives. Something else I want to talk about is the blueprint, which is up here on the screen. If you want to look at this in detail yourself, if you go on anaheim.net and you search blueprint, you can see all the details of this. And it's a few pages long, and it talks about our vision, our values, our mission, lays out some of our priorities and our goals. And these are things that the police department was already doing. It was now just memorialized into a document that we can use to strive towards. There's quite a bit of information there, so if you'd like to go online and look at it, you can read all of it yourself. And then on the last page is the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics, which is something that every police officer learns in the academy, and it just lays out what is expected of police officers. Speaking about that, the police department is recruiting new officers. So if you or you know somebody who wants to become a police officer, or if you know somebody who's already a police officer, we will take lateral police officers as well. We're testing every month, and it's pretty much an open recruitment going on right now. Has anybody been to or heard of Anaheim Confidential? Only one? Couple of people? So Anaheim Confidential is a program that it helps to support the Cops for Kids program. And it's held here at the River Arena. It'll be on November 5th, starting at 5 p.m. They do charge, I believe it's $38 for admission. And what it is the detectives who have worked homicide cases will walk you through a specific homicide case and give you all the details about it. Everybody who's gone to it always enjoys it. It's a very in-depth look at a case that we have worked here in Anaheim. It does include drinks, beer, wine, and dinner. So if you have a chance, November 5th, you can still get tickets for that. Has anybody ever heard of the PACE program? Has anybody been to PACE? A couple of people. What did you think of it? It's an outstanding program. Everybody who I've known who has ever gone through that program truly enjoys it. And what it is a 14-week program where you come to the police department once a week on a Tuesday night, and you get a very in-depth look at the police department. Different details will come down and give a presentation. You take tours of our jail, the Family Justice Center, the stadium, the heliport. You hear talks from detectives from different divisions, the gang unit. It's, if you want to know more about the police department, it's truly a good opportunity to get involved and see what we do in detail. And with that, is everyone here following us on Facebook and Instagram? Right? Yes. That's a good place to find out information if maybe there's a road closure or a major event, or to keep up to date with events that we're doing, crime trends that we see going on. If you follow us on those pages, we regularly post there, and you can see what's going on with the police department and in the city. And with that, that's all that I have. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am. The under $950, is that included in the property crime stat that is down? And yes, it does include all thefts. It could include misdemeanors, felonies, residential burglaries, any sort of a theft that does not involve a person, like a robbery would be a person crime. Like a theft from a person through force or fear is a robbery. Yes, ma'am.
I'm kind of confused on this issue because recently I heard that, I think it was our president said that if somebody tried.
So you do have the right to defend yourself, and if you were to defend yourself, what would happen, and this has happened in the past here in Anaheim and other cities, a situation exactly like that. Same thing with any officer, that if you were to shoot somebody that came into your house, the case would be reviewed by the district attorney's office to determine if it was deemed to be justifiable or not. So I wouldn't be able to tell you that, but it would be one of those things where it would be whatever your thought process of what you felt was happening to you at the time. Yes. Yes. So that's something that when that happens to people, we ask for them to justify or explain their actions as to what happened, and I imagine that would probably help the district attorney make that determination. So, but what we really ask people to do is to get to know their neighbors, to look out for each other, be involved in your neighborhood watch, just be aware of your surroundings. Get to know your neighbors and share phone numbers with them so you guys can look out for each other and kind of take care of each other. We obviously are going to come, but your neighbors are going to be looking out for you much quicker than we get there. And I'm going to tell you guys a quick story. I know some of you have heard this before, but everybody on my street knows my phone number, and I know all of their phone numbers. And one night at 2:30 in the morning, a lady called me, and it was my neighbor. She works nights. Can you not hear? It's not on? Okay. So I'll just talk louder. How's that? Okay. Is it on now? So my neighbor works nighttime, and she's a nurse. It was 2:30 in the morning, and she called me and said a hooded guy came to her door. She saw it on her Ring camera, and the guy covered up her camera. And she called me and said, "What's going on?" while her partner was on the phone with the police. I looked out the window about 10 seconds later, and I saw a bunch of kids toilet paper in her house because she has a high school age kid. So within a matter of 10 seconds, I was able to tell her, everything's okay at your house. You got a mess to clean up, but there's nobody breaking into your house or doing anything horrible. So it's one of those things where looking out for your neighbors can really help tremendously. Just getting to know who your neighbors are, who belongs there, and keeping an eye on each other, because our resources are very limited, and we can't always be there to watch. We're going to come if you call, hopefully. Yeah. Yes. I don't know if that's. She's asking if there's a sign on your property, if that gives you more protection. But a piece of paper is not going to protect you. Yeah, a piece of paper is just a piece of paper. Legally, if it's going to protect you or not, I wouldn't think so, because you have your private property, and if somebody's prowling on your property, that's still against the law. If they're in your backyard in an enclosed area, they're trespassing on your property, and that's against the law. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's always a good deterrent, I would say. If somebody sees that sign, maybe they would decide to not go there. But as far as protecting you physically, it won't do anything for you. So, am I running out of time? Yes. If anybody has any other questions, I'll speak with you after. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you.
Next, to provide us information with regards to the Community Care Response Team, CCRT for short, and code enforcement updates is Sandra Lozo.
I don't need a mic. Can you guys hear me? All right. I love it. Good to see you guys. Haven't seen you guys in a while, so happy to meet a lot of you guys in person. It is one of my favorite districts. I raised all my family here, so it's always a passion for me in this district. So welcome. Happy to be here. So we're going to give a couple updates. One on the Community Care Response Team, or CCRT. That was a pilot program that our council unanimously approved January 1st to do a few different things. One, to take a lot of the homeless calls coming into our police department that do not have a criminal nexus and are not an emergency, to have some skilled professionals respond instead, to get a little bit better response time, but also to help them a little bit more. The other goal was to have more of these skilled professionals out 7 days a week and into the evening to touch a lot more of our homeless neighbors, to get them off the street more. We also had a goal, because it was during COVID, to help slow the spread of COVID by providing information, personal protection equipment, hand sanitizers, information on where to get tested, and now we're even rolling out vaccinations out in the street as well as in our shelters. Our Salvation Army shelter is the highest vaccinated shelter in the entire county. So that's also important, so that way as people are getting in through that shelter, they're staying in a safe environment. So far, if you go on our website, we do have a 6-month review that we did before City Council. That's just for the first 6 months, but we can tell you the trend continues, where we're averaging 3.8 people a day off the street into some type of sheltered environment with an 89 to 90% retention rate. So by the time we do get them and get them over to a sheltered environment, they're staying in there. So that's huge. The CCRT is working 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. So we're getting help in the evenings and the weekends, and our shelter operators are doing a fantastic job allowing people to come in those hours. The diversion rate of homeless calls that are non-criminal related so far is almost up to 20% each month. The calls that normally would be handled by our police department are now no longer being handled and being handled by CCRT, therefore alleviating our police having to respond. And a lot of times our homeless calls tend to, we get there quick, but they tend to be longer calls because of mental health, addiction, trying to find the right shelter. It takes longer. So that way our police officers are back in service and not having to go to those calls. The next part that we're going to be testing and piloting in the next month with CCRT is we also analyze the calls the PD is still going to, because again, we're only diverting 20%. So what's that next big bulk of calls? And it's trespassing. So trespassing, normally for us, we call because someone's trespassing on our property and we want them removed. Most of the homeless trespassing calls are usually us calling because someone's on the railroad or Caltrans property or maybe some vacant lot. So we're going to start test piloting, having our CCRT go to those calls first. It's a low-level crime, but instead of having police respond, see if our skilled professionals can address them and also give a trespassing warning. To one, divert that call, but maybe avoid a second call where the police have to come out and actually arrest somebody for trespassing. So we're going to try and test that out. We are looking to extend that pilot program for another year. This program is not funded through taxpayer dollars with our general fund. It is funded through federal dollars that are specific to homeless and COVID. So that's restricted funds that we have to utilize, and so having a robust outreach program is being beneficial out there so far to date. On the other side of the continuum of care, we continue to house our homeless and getting people out of our shelters. We're fortunate enough to have this great elementary school being rebuilt and done, and it's beautiful. Rockwood Apartments, just over here to the west, was added years ago as one of our first housing developments for formerly homeless families, and it's been working out very well. It's one of the iconic ones and historic projects that we've done that the county looks towards. And next to that, we built during COVID at the end of December, the old Sandman Motel is now the El Verano, and we were able to house formerly homeless seniors as another demographic in our shelters that needed help. But we're not done. We had Buena Esperanza, which is over off of the west side of town at Magnolia and La Palma, built. Just a few months ago opened up, and that's for studio kind of apartments for single adults, which is another group we see out in the streets right now. And then Fillmore Project, which is Manchester and Orangewood on the south side of town. So we're spreading it out where we can. We're continuing to house people as we get that data from CCRT of the types of individuals that we need to help. To build upon that, we have a new pilot program that's going to be starting hopefully by the end of this year that the council also unanimously approved, and it's taken the next step addressing mental health. So that's the next call for service. If there's no criminal nexus, no emergency, we're going to have Be Well OC have a mobile unit out with nurse practitioners as well as mental health to handle mental health calls that are non-emergency, non-criminal. That's going to be for housed and unhoused. So if we have, teenagers in the house that are in mental health crisis, you have a loved one, now we're going to be able to send Be Well OC to that house and or to the street to help address mental health, which is huge. We have statistics already with our Psychiatric Emergency Response Team, or PERT, with our police department that has mental health clinicians that following up on people that were just in mental health crisis just once reduces them going into mental health crisis by 40 to 50%. Following up a second time goes up even higher. So we're trying to kind of reduce those calls and also help with mental health. The Be Well OC facility opened up last year, and we already utilize it. So our police department, our fire department, even CCRT take individuals in mental health crisis for stabilization as well as addiction or even a sobering unit over to that facility now. So the advantage now of having a mobile unit from Be Well in our city is it won't take our police and fire and CCRT out of service because that facility is in the city of Orange. So now they're coming to us. So now you can imagine our police department who at night and on weekends were having trouble on these social services issues and finding the right resources are now going to have them out there. They're going to have Be Well OC, they're going to have CCRT, they still have our PERT teams to where they can have skilled professionals help them out with those types of calls. Be Well OC is going to be operating 7 days a week as well, and they're going to bridge the gap from CCRT, who's out there from 7 a.m. to 9. Be Well is going to be out there from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. So it's going to go into the evening and help address those calls. We don't have a lot of calls between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m. when CCRT comes online, so that's why we're not filling that gap yet unless we see a need. So by having CCRT and Be Well for the unhoused, CCRT can help Be Well if they got to take someone to a facility in the evening, and we can come back in the morning and at the City of Orange and pick them up and take them and keep them in a sheltered environment so they don't go back onto the street. So there's going to be a lot of overlap and assistance. But again, Be Well is going to be for housed and unhoused, all mental health calls, non-emergency, and then CCRT is going to continue to address the homeless calls coming in that are non-emergency. Moving over, well, I'll do a couple things on the complaints coming in. So continue to use Anaheim Anytime. Continue to use My Anaheim app. CCRT is getting those emails through Anaheim Anytime on anything related to homeless. They are going out first. And if they need assistance, then they'll join the rest of our task force, our police department, or any other needs that they need. And then also, in this district, we addressed the La Palma Bridge area, the 57 La Palma. There was kind of an encampment forming over there. So we activated our team. So our police department, which Lorenzo Taylor back there in the back, who didn't come up and introduce himself, is one of the main helpers out there in the field. And so him and his team are out there with Sergeant Lillimon, so they helped out under the La Palma Bridge area, and that all got cleaned up, but that takes a team effort. CCRT goes out, then police, then code enforcement to get the property, and then Public Works to clean everything up. State College in the Redwood Underhill area, that's over by the Walgreens, Tampico. There has been a spike over there. We have focused and met with that community. We have met with Walgreens. We've even talked with Tampico. There is some attraction over there. There is a house over off of Underhill that we're focusing on that seems to be attraction. We are working heavily on Walgreens to deal with the corner behind there and the cutout between Walgreens and Tampico into the neighborhood and see if we can close that off. That might help with the traffic going through and a lot of the issues. Utilities was also a part of that community meeting, and they're already in the process of lighting up a lot of the alleys in the area in that neighborhood. We met a couple weeks ago, so that should be coming on board fairly soon with utilities. So again, our entire team's understanding of that area, and so we are committed to continue to work that area. It is a process. I know there's homeless over there, but we also know it's more than just homeless people in that area. There's other issues going on. Homeless are a part of that activity there, but there are also other people that are not homeless that are contributing to that problem over there. But we're committed to continue to work that, and we are working with a couple of the neighbors in that neighborhood that are kind of keeping everybody addressed up there what we're doing. Moving over to code enforcement, the biggest update is street vending. You've been seeing it? Yeah, Rio Vista and Lincoln State College. So there was a new state law that took effect. Historically, Anaheim had a prohibition on all street vending. It just wasn't allowed. We would do heavy enforcement, take their stuff, that sort of stuff, and it worked well. There was a court case out of LA that then changed the state law where we could no longer prohibit and we had to regulate and permit it. So that's problem number one. However, in that state law, it doesn't preclude us from addressing food with our Orange County Health Department. So we were trying to get creative and figure out how we can address this and the secondary impacts in our neighborhood. In the state law, the only enforcement agency allowed to do any criminal enforcement is the Orange County Health Department related to food. The only officers that are allowed to do any type of criminal enforcement related to street vending is the Orange County Health Officer. So the police officers can't help us. It's been decriminalized. Code enforcement helps with the permitting of those that are allowed, but again, they have to, if it's food, get an Orange County Health permit, which a lot of these vendors and taco stands you see will not get permitted through the county health. So we've been working with the health department. It started 2 weeks ago. In fact, they're out today, and they're checking Lincoln and State College and Rio Vista and Lincoln today for us in this district. And what we decided to do is team up with a county health officer with our code enforcement, and they have the enforcement capability of issuing criminal citations and the ability to confiscate, and our code enforcement officers are helping with the confiscation and the storage of that equipment. So we've been able to shut down at Lincoln and State College that taco stand a couple times already. We're going to keep hitting it. Also at Rio Vista and Lincoln, we've hit that location and confiscated. So our storage facility is really full with fruit carts and taco stands. But we're not done. We're going to continue. I think once the word starts getting out that in Anaheim, we're actually going to confiscate if you don't have the health permit, because we don't know where the food's coming from. We don't know how it's being prepared. There's no washing stations out there, so there's a lot of unhealthy, unsanitary situations out there. On the flower vendor side, the health department can't help us. It's not food related. However, we do have 6 already permitted flower vendors in your district at Sunkist and Lincoln. There is a flower vendor. She does keep off the sidewalk. She has a little stand and following the permitted regulations for that. And we have 5 others throughout the city for that. So we are monitoring those. The other ones we will do enforcement, but all we can do is administrative fines, which we have issued. The cell phone vendors is another big one. So again, continue to use Anaheim Anytime because we're logging in all that data. We're sharing it with the county health department. Use your My Anaheim app, and we'll continue to work that process. The county is using Anaheim as a pilot to see how well this works and see if we can create a bigger task force countywide so we can start addressing it a little more regionally. So we're obviously interested in helping and having the enforcement in Anaheim first so we can make sure we address our city and our community first. So that's the biggest updates I have. Happy to answer a couple questions, and then with time, I'll answer anything after. Yes, sir. So the question was about illegal dumping. We see illegal dumping constantly throughout the city, especially after the first of the month around our high-density apartments. We just see a lot of that. We're used to kind of addressing that. I haven't seen an uptick one way or the other. I can tell you we used to see it on a lot of vacant lots that now are developed. So that helps when those vacant lot areas get developed, then we don't see that illegal dumping. But again, use the Anaheim Anytime in My Anaheim app. It is a criminal citation, but we have to catch them dumping. So if you see somebody like dumping a bunch of cement at a vacant lot and you get a license plate, don't interact with them or anything like that, but any type of information that we can maybe trace back, then we can do some enforcement at that point. But illegal dumping and bulky item pickups throughout our city are free. So if we see an area in a residential where there's a lot of bulky item dumping, we'll flyer that neighborhood to let everybody know. You just have to call and they'll come get it in front of your place for free. You don't have to dump it in our alley. So, any other questions? Graffiti. Anybody turn in graffiti on my Anaheim app and Anaheim Anytime? Does it work? So our graffiti contractor, thank you for that compliment, is on our My Anaheim app and Anaheim Anytime, so they're able to remove within 24 hours, and it's a good mechanism for us to make sure that they are. They have to take before and after photos. If it's on private property, we may see a delay, or on the railroad, because we have to get a flag man. But we're trying to take ownership of all the freeways, all the railroad areas, to try and get on those properties as quickly as we can to remove it. Do you have a follow-up question? No, we do notice from 24 to 48 hours was the question on, again, some of the private property owners, they have to get waivers. But if they're not getting to certain public property, let me know, I'll give you my card. But other than that, they're usually pretty good. And I did talk with some residents here. They do give out free supplies. So if you have a little traffic box in front of your house or a brown pole, utility pole, we have some of those spray cans and those paints that we can provide for free that you can get out quicker on those small things that may be a little irritant, but not to the point where you want to call in, and then we can handle the big stuff. So we're happy to do that as well. Yes, ma'am. So the question was about abandoned cars and vehicles that may be getting multiple tickets. We do keep track of that. There's certain thresholds, so some cars have to obtain certain amount of tickets, or we have to request police department to tow after so many hours, usually 72. So we do process that, and so if they're having any issues where they're still there weeks later, let us know. I can give you my card, and then we can make sure we address a lot of that, because I know parking is hard already, and so having vehicles that aren't even running or not in the neighborhood or should be, we can definitely free up some space. Absolutely. So if you want to use the Anaheim Anytime, and you can write it in Spanish, and then we have translators, so you can put it in that way as well, and we'll make sure we get to it. I'll take two more, and then we'll move on. Go ahead. Yeah.
This may not be apropos to...
So the question was about loud parties and loud music after hours, and so we do have an ordinance. It is enforced by our police department. So you're doing the right thing calling in, but I would also get Sergeant Lolamon's information, because even though a lot of times the parties are on Friday and Saturday nights, and that may be when the police department's busier with higher priority calls, following up with your community policing team, they can follow back up with that property owner, because they can cite them and continue the enforcement even after the fact. So we can have some follow-up even after the parties occurred. And I'll take this last one. I think having that constant touching and reminding, and having the outreach, and then also the enforcement if we need to, that balance, it seems to be helping out there. So thank you. And I'll be in the back after for any other comments or questions. Thank you.
Here to speak to us with regards to the redistricting process is Jennifer Hall from the City Clerk's office.
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad the mic is back. That will make it easier. I'm Jennifer Hall, I'm the Assistant City Clerk, and we're here today to share some information about the redistricting process and what that means for the city. Thank you, Jason. So just as some background, the city adopted its first district boundary map in 2016, which you can see up here on the slide. 6 districts stretching from 1 in the west all the way to 6 in the east. And when we created that map in 2016, if any of you were here and part of that process, we had a robust community engagement process in taking input and looking at the numbers and following the 2010 census numbers. Those were the population figures that we had had available at that time and that we were required to use during that process in 2015, 2016. But if you all recall, last year, 2020, there was a new decennial federal census that was taken, and so now those numbers have been released, and pursuant to federal and state law and our city charter, we have to now look at our districts based on the current population and demographic numbers from that 2020 census and see if any of our district boundary lines need to be revised. Because pursuant to the Federal Voting Rights Act, the districts have to be as equal in population as they can possibly be. So that is the idea of equal representation across all of the districts for that purpose. Typically, we would have received our census data from the 2020 census back in February or March of this year, but like many things over the past year or two, the COVID pandemic did delay the receipt of those numbers. So we did finally just receive our final numbers for Anaheim's population at the very end of September. But that didn't stop us from starting in on this process, and we started meeting with the community back in September and some previous information in front of our city council in August as well, to get information and reach out and provide the community an opportunity to provide input and ask questions on that process. So with the 2020 numbers now, we're going to be using that data through the rest of our redistricting process. So now we're in the midst. There are some regulations that we have to follow based on state law and our own city charter, which includes a series of public hearings before the city council, but also involves community meetings out in the districts across the city as well as virtually. So that we can get that input on redrawing the boundaries. So during September, we held 7 meetings, 1 in each district, plus a Zoom meeting, to get community input, learn about communities of interest, neighborhoods, what areas are being impacted by different things, what similarities different areas have with each other, and how they can benefit from making sure that their community is maintained within one specific district or another. Okay. So the next step in this process is to start doing draft maps. So you saw the lines that were up there before. We do have to do some revisions based on the population numbers. They did change over the 10 years from 2010 to 2020, so we are going to have to make some revisions. So we're asking members of the community. We are also working with our demographer consultant who was with us during the 2016 process as well, so he has that historical knowledge of the city to work on maps, but we are asking the community members to submit maps. And you don't have to submit a map of the entire city. You can submit a map of a portion of the city or just your own individual district or your own just neighborhood. We'll take any input that we can get from the community members to help go through this process of what will go in front of city council for them to help make the decision on what the map will look like going forward for the next 10 years. So we do have up here a deadline of submittal of those maps by this Friday. However, we will continue to accept maps even after that, particularly through the weekend and onto Monday. And any of those maps received during that time frame will be part of the next public hearing in front of City Council on November 2nd. So all of the maps that we receive will be posted on the website, anaheimredistricting.org, as well as presented to Council at the public hearing to receive additional public input, community comments. This map, you like this map, you don't like this map, and the why and the why not. Okay. Following that public hearing on November 2nd, we're going to go back out to all of the districts and host additional community meetings. This is another opportunity to receive that input, more communities of interest, more move this line here, what do you think makes the most sense for your community and for the city overall, and then how that will work into the equal population as well. After that, we're going to hold 2 more public hearings, at least in January and February of next year, during which time City Council will adopt the final map via an ordinance that will be used for the general municipal election next year in November of 2022, and then for the next 10 years until we have another census in 2030 and we do the whole process all over again. Okay. Pursuant to the California Elections Code, we do have to complete this entire process by April 17th, 2022 for that use. So we're trying to get it done and receive all the input a little early, but we do have that a little bit of buffer time to allow if we need some additional input. So to help facilitate all of you, your neighbors, your family, your friends in submitting maps, We have some different tools available so that you can help look at the maps as they currently are and provide your input on that. But however you choose to do it, we'll take the map in any way, shape, or form. You can hand it to us tonight, bring it to our office at City Hall, send it in via email or through the website. Again, draw it on a napkin, a Post-it note, whatever you'd like, or we have some more technological ways for you to do that as well. So one of the ways we have is the simple public participation kit, and we have these available in the back on the table. It looks like this, and we have them in English and Spanish. We also do have other languages available through our office, so if you contact us afterwards, we can get you some other languages if you would like. But this will allow you to just draw on the map, change the lines as you would see fit, as well as online. You could connect it with an Excel spreadsheet, and it will pull in all those population data figures for you that are just physically listed on the map itself. Okay. We also have this one, Calipers Maptitude and District R. These are some more technologically savvy type mapping tools. These are the ones the professional demographers use and what our consultant will be using to draw some draft maps for the city of Anaheim. This is expected to be online tomorrow morning, and so that's why we're allowing those few more opportunities, days for the public to utilize those tools, get in there, start using them, and to submit draft maps using those tools as well. There are some tutorials, some videos, some how-to guides online too, so if you're feeling techie and want to get in there and play around with that, we'll have that available tomorrow, and we'll be sending out information in that regard just when they are available. But I just wanted to highlight our website. I mentioned it earlier, AnaheimRedistricting.org. This is the one-stop shop for all the information about districts. It has the schedule of our public hearings and our community meetings and all of their locations. This will be where the draft maps will be posted once we receive them all, as well as the draw a map mapping tools. And so just wanted to highlight again that the next City Council public hearing is on November 2nd at 6:30 p.m. at City Hall. Besides the website, we also have our email address, redistricting@anaheim.net, where you can submit comments, you can submit questions, you can submit maps, whatever you would like. We also have in the back here, that doesn't look like, comment cards. They just look like this, so if you don't feel like sending an email or doing it online, we would like to learn from you in this way as well, what your community of interest is, what you think is important to your area and to your neighborhood. And again, you can hand those to myself or City Clerk Teresa Bass tonight, or take it with you and send it in later via email or dropping it off at City Hall. And then we also have a Notify Me email subscription list. So I know you all signed up in the back for community services and to get your opportunity prize drawing ticket, but we have a separate sign-up sheet over here on the side table if you're interested specifically in receiving information on redistricting. We send them out when we have updates, so when the tools will be available, what the deadlines are, when the next meetings are, things along those lines. So if you're interested in getting that information, we do have that sign-up sheet on the side over there as well. So I'm happy to take any questions at this time. Yes, sir.
I want to make sure I'm interpreting the map correctly.
Okay. Yes, so that would be within that shaded box, that square box that has the Sunkist Park right there, 1,828 people in that unit. That means that is area 148, and if you look at that Excel spreadsheet online, it will give you that 1828 population figure. That way you could do some math on the Excel spreadsheet, will automatically do the population calculations for you, as opposed to you kind of penciling it out and trying to figure out what the exact population total is.
So how does one get to how many people are living in the homes in that area?
That would be the 1828 number on the second page map. That's the total population for the homes in that area.
Right, but how do you determine the number of homes so that you can determine how many people are in each of these
In
homes?
each home. Yeah, so I don't believe we have that particular number broken down within the census demographics of how many houses or residential units are within that particular section. Ma'am? So these numbers are based on what was submitted to the census when the census was taken last year in 2020. So it would be a matter of whether the property owner or the residents submitted that census survey at that time. That's what we had to go off of for that. Any other questions? We're here at the end as well if you have any additional input, so thank you so much. Oh, yes. Sure. So the question is, what districts are the most impacted by the population changes? Right. So currently, with the 6 districts, we're looking at about 58,000 people per district based on the current census numbers. And based on that, districts 1, 2, and 6 are pretty close. They're right there within a percentage of that number. It's districts 3, 4, and 5 that have the bigger population shifts. And so districts 3 and 4 are both underpopulated by about 3,000 residents each, people. And then District 5 is overpopulated by about 5,500 people. So that's where we would be looking at making some shifts there, so to bring them within balance. Now, with the map, we can have a 10% deviation from the largest district to the smallest district. So that's about 5,800 people, difference between the most populous district and the least populous district. But right now, that deviation is about 14%. So we will have to make some slight adjustments. And that's why we're here, and we would love to hear from all of you on where you might think those adjustments could make sense in order to help maintain your communities of interest and then serve the city and its residents in the best way possible. Thank you.
Here to provide us information regarding conservation programs from Anaheim Public Utilities, Shant Budanyan.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Shant Budanyan. I'm with Anaheim Public Utilities. Today I'm going to present to you on some of our conservation programs that we offer for our local community. So Anaheim Public Utilities is Anaheim owned, Anaheim focused. I like to call Anaheim Public Utilities your local neighborhood friendly utility. Our mission is to deliver safe, reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy and water to our residents. Some of the various programs we offer for ways to save: water and energy programs, income qualified programs, bill assistance, and through sustainability. We offer a host of programs that can help reduce your utility bills as well as reduce your carbon footprint. Some of these programs include our home utility checkup, rebates for Energy Star appliances, our refrigerator recycling program, our tree power program where you can receive some free shade trees, our turf replacement program, as well as weather-based irrigation controllers. We encourage all of our customers to start with our home utility checkup. We'll have a contractor come to your house, provide a free in-home assessment. As part of that assessment, you'll get some energy-saving light bulbs and some water-saving equipment as well, such as aerators, low-flow shower heads, and such. We also offer income-qualified programs, such as our weatherization program. Our weatherization program is similar to our home utility checkup, with more enhanced measures. So as long as you meet the income qualifications, we can have, again, our contractor come out, they'll do an assessment, and you can receive some energy saving as well as water saving equipment for your home. Again, it's like your home utility checkup program, but more enhanced measures you get. We also offer rebates for leak repair. We also have our senior and disabled veterans discount, our green power discount, as well as our Dusk to Dawn installations. Our Dusk to Dawn installations is a real good program, especially if you live in a neighborhood. I know there's some concerns with dark areas. We offer free security lights. If you're income qualified, we can also install that through our contractor as well. So if you call us, we'd be happy to set you up. I think you can get up to 1 to 2 for your residents that are like your standard floodlights. They're motion sensing as well as Dusk to Dawn. So they'll go on during the day, go on during the night and turn off during the day. Bill assistance programs, we also offer bill assistance programs, our emergency assistance. You could potentially qualify to receive up to a one-time emergency assistance of $250 for your energy bill and $100 for your water. We also have our LIHEAP program, the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. That's federally funded. Medical lifeline allowance, if you have medical equipment like if it's a CPAP machine that you need to operate, you can receive a discount off of that. And also we offer monthly payment plans. If you want to maybe get on a fixed payment plan for the 12 months, you can opt in for that as well. Anaheim Public Utilities is sustainability minded. We currently, our power resource portfolio is 33% renewable resources. We're on target to be 60% by 2060. We also offer zero-emission vehicle charging rebates. So if you're in the market to purchase an electric vehicle, we offer rebates for residential as well as our commercial customers. And we also offer student engagement programs through our local school districts. Here are some water-saving tips. I'm sure you guys all heard that the state called water conservation across California. So here are some tips to help reduce water waste by repairing leaks and using efficient fixtures. Replace older appliances with efficient units. Replace lawns with native landscape and use drip irrigation. If you need assistance with that, on how to apply more water conservation in your landscape, we offer classes. This last one's already done on the 14th, but we do have one coming up on spectacular succulents on November 13th through our local East Anaheim Community Center. Customer safety. I know this was brought up earlier. One thing that we don't do is we never come to your house and ask for money to disconnect you. So if somebody knocks on your door, they have a uniform or a badge, and they're like, you need to pay X amount of dollars or we're going to turn you off, don't pay. Call us at 765-3300 and ask who the person's name is. We'll validate that person, and we'll ensure that if there's any past due amounts, we'll let you know over the phone. But again, we won't disconnect you. And even when you call to make a payment, the representative won't take payment on the phone. They usually ask you to go through the automated system because we're not supposed to take credit card numbers over the phone, nor are we allowed to take it in person. So again, when in doubt, call the utility. And that's it for me. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Is there still a rebate program for solar?
So solar, it's changed. What we have right now, it's called a net metering agreement, where it's not incentive-based as much as where you can get a credit for generation that you may not use. It's called net metering. If you'd like, I can give you if you come back later on, I'll give you the number for our solar programs manager, and he can explain to you what the program offerings are at this time. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening.
Here to speak to us with regards to the Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT for short, and disaster preparedness, is Adrian Abel from Fire and Rescue.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Adrian. I'm with the Anaheim Fire and Rescue, and I'm just going to give you some quick updates on the fire department and some other things that we're trying to promote out into the community. So first, on July 28th, 2020, last year, the City Council ended its contract with Care Ambulance. What that means is that Care Ambulance is the private ambulance provider in the city that we contract, and they're in our station. So we've ended that contract, and we're going to do that now in-house, which would save the city a considerable amount of money. So with that, we put together an ambulance operator program, which included about 31 emergency medical technicians, ambulance operators. So this is a good stepping stone for these young men and women. We put them through a little academy. As you know, the fire service is a very competitive endeavor, and so this is a good way of getting these young men and women a good stepping stone into the service, and we can kind of weed out and kind of see about who wants to then further their career as a firefighter, paramedic with the department. So we put into service ambulance 1, 3, and 6. They're out there now. That's our first phase. The next phase next year will include ambulance 2, 5, 9, and 11, and at those respective fire stations. And what that also means is that Care is still under contract with us, and so we're just kind of phasing them out. So what does that mean for you? It really doesn't mean that much yet. There's not going to be any change in the billing. The billing will still remain the same. So if you're a member of the paramedic subscription program, that will still stay the same. Your ambulance billing, which is usually billed separately, that will stay the same. Eventually, what we'll do is eventually the paramedic subscription program and the ambulance transportation will get blended into one fee. But that's a little bit down the line as we now just kind of transition into this new program. So, like I said, as you dial 911, you'll get the firefighter paramedics still from our department, and you will get our ambulance, Anaheim Fire and Rescue ambulance operators to assist the paramedics in transporting you to the hospital. And if you're looking for where that paramedic subscription program is on your bill, you'll kind of see it right there. You'll see a little cross and it says paramedic program. I do have some sheets available there, so if you're interested in the program, they're out there, or come and see me. Next, we're kind of promoting, this month is, we promote Fire Prevention Week and smoke alarms. I'm going to go through this a little bit quick, but in the past, we've always asked you to make sure you check your smoke alarms. They all have had their batteries, so whenever you change your clock, you change your batteries. But the new smoke alarms that are coming out on the market now, they have 7-year and 10-year batteries. So they're internal. So you don't really have to change it much anymore. Once the smoke alarm goes bad or starts chirping, then you go ahead and just replace the whole thing and you buy a new one. So, yeah, it makes it a little bit easier. Instead of trying to get to that pesky battery that's in there, I get it. And the same goes for the carbon monoxide detectors. And so where the smoke alarms are required and the smoke and the carbon monoxide, they're all required actually by state law. So if you sold your home inspector would look at that. But they are required to be in every bedroom and in the common hallway. For the carbon monoxide, in the common hallway, and if it's on a 2-story, then at the base of the stairs and one at the top of the stairs. So that's where they would be required. We're not the smoke alarm police, so we're not going to go down to your house and check up on your smoke alarms. However, what we do offer is a smoke alarm program. So if you own a home, condo, townhome, or mobile home in the city of Anaheim, you can call that number, and we will go out and drop off the amount of smoke alarms that are needed in your home while the supplies last. So free of charge. We used to install them, but obviously because of this whole COVID crisis, we stopped doing that for right now. Hopefully in the future we'll get back to doing that again. But in the meantime, if you own a home or townhome, condo, or mobile home in the city, we will provide you one. Also, we're here to try to promote our emergency preparedness section, and having you guys make sure that you kind of prepare yourselves for the next kind of either earthquake or big emergency in the city. There's an emergency preparedness checklist that we have available down at the front counter there, and it's just about making sure that you guys are ready in case of an emergency. If you have that old backpack that you're looking to throw away, well, you can probably repurpose it. You can store a bunch of items in there, something that you need to kind of be able to grab really quickly and get going. My mother called me the other day in a panic because there's a wildfire back behind her house, and so she's just in a panic mode trying to figure out what she needed to grab. So it's always funny, she always calls other people first before she does what she needs to do. But if she had a lot of this stuff already ready to go, that will ease a lot of your frustrations and panic. So if you know where the stuff is, you're ready to go, hop in your car and get in there. And some of these examples of what you can keep in your bag, and some of those things you can keep on the checklist that's out there. Also, what the department, in keeping with that, the department is looking to sponsor an emergency preparedness symposium. So on October 23rd, between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. at our fire training facility at the NorthNet Fire Training Facility at 2400 East Orangewood, right across from Angel Stadium, we're putting on a symposium. And what that symposium is to kind of go over these basic parts of how to use a fire extinguisher, using basic first aid, and some basic home preparedness, how to make a plan in an emergency. We used to offer, and we still do and will, offer the CERT classes, but we know that those CERT classes are very intensive. We ask the community to participate in those, but they're about 8 or 9 modules, and they're about 2 or 3 hours of your time. So in the meantime, we still want to be able to get the message out. So this symposium is kind of a way of not having you have to be a CERT member or CERT certified, and CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Team. This is just kind of a way to kind of reach out to the community to kind of give you some basic information on how to take care of yourself and your family in an emergency. And if you're interested in the future about joining CERT or just being a CERT member or having those skills, you can continue your education after that. That the 23rd, I believe, is this coming Saturday. Yes, thank you very much. So see me, there's some flyers there on the information to sign up. So sign up if you're really interested. I think it'll be a great program for everybody. Also, with that, we do also are offering, it's called a Listos program. It's basically somewhat the same type of what the symposium offers, but it's in Spanish. It's already a curriculum that's already been put together throughout the state. And it was the same type of program so that we can kind of get the Latino community to come in and learn those same basic skills in Spanish. So we're looking for those who are interested. We have the numbers up there. So if you're interested, please go ahead and sign up, and we want to put a class together as well. Here's our website and our phone numbers in case you need to get a hold of us on any of those types of classes that we're offering. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And that's it. Does anybody have any questions for the fire department? Yes. So the question is, will we have the symposium again? We certainly want to put as many symposiums as possible. So I would say yes. I don't have dates. This is sort of a pilot program for us, so this is kind of new. We want to see how this goes, and if it's very popular, we will most certainly put on more and more if it becomes very popular. So please sign up, get your neighbors to sign up. If it gets full, obviously, we'll have to turn away some people, but we are, then that's just going to prove that we need to put on more classes. So yes, it is definitely something we're looking forward to do in the future. Any other questions for the fire department? All righty. Thank you.
And this essentially draws the end of our meeting. It was a pleasure to converse and connect with you all. We will remain here for a few extra minutes for additional questions or concerns. Feel free to pick up some extra snacks, some resources, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.